Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem B'Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in this gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It says the Christian Post. It says Labor Council seeks to imprison street preachers up to 2 years for causing offense/distress. All right. Now, peep this, right? It says Christians to be criminalized for handing out Bibles, praying for, and laying hands on people. Now, when you think about it, you're like, okay, these are Christians. What's so threatening about that? But the simple fact about it is that this is really a jab at the Israelites, because ever since we've come on the scene and we've been preaching with great boldness, these Christians have been coming up and attempting to do evangelical work, okay, which the job of an evangelist is to go out to the streets and to proclaim the gospel, you know, and to wake up the lost sheep, as they claim that they're doing. But the difference between us and Christians is that they believe everybody can be saved, and we teach that only Israel can be saved because that's what the scriptures say. But notice that they're starting to crack down on the truth, man. Okay, because Labor Council seeks to imprison street preachers up to 2 years for causing offense. And who's known for preaching on the streets? The Israelites. Okay, ever since I remember, the Israelites have went out to the streets. And even prior to me coming into the truth, the apostles and elders have been out there for 20 plus years. Okay, Apostle Tahar came in, in 1985. Apostle Gabar came in 1990, and I believe Apostle Ramlab, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he came in, I'm not very certain, but I think it may have been like around 93, 94, 95, you know. But regardless of it, those men have been out there for quite some time, even before you Christians even thought of going to the streets and teaching. Now, going back to the 60s, you got a man by the name of Elder Abba Bivens, who you believe is John the Baptist or Elijah the prophet to come. He was out in the street speaking, you know. So this ministry has gone worldwide, and the world is getting a whiff of what this gospel is truly about. And this is why that they're slowly cracking down on the truth, man, because eventually they're going to make it illegal for men like us to go out there and speak the truth. And this is what it's all alluding to, man, because Christians, they're not healing no goddamn body. Okay, and being an offense. They have what you call a universal message. So how in the hell is people being offended by what they're teaching? You know? But regardless of it, it says here, a Labour Party run council in England, so this takes place in England, has sparked outrage by proposing a sweeping injunction that can imprison Christian street preachers. And you can make that interchangeable with Hebrew Israelites, because if they're arresting Christians for speaking on the streets, how much more are they talking about the Israelites? Okay, the prophets, the men of the Lord. Because all in all, the goal is to outlaw the Bible. Because the New World Order, there's not going to be any room or any tolerance for the Bible at all. And this is why they're cracking down on what they would consider HATE speech. And they have what they call censoring, which censoring is at an all-time high. I posted a video of AI of a Brock group, because, you know, AI now is its own interface. It's writing its own algorithms, all types of shit. So I posted a video on Apostle Gabar's video to show him that AI is indeed it's a demon. And it was of a song of a group that came out in the 90s, but the AI wrote a 60th edition version of it, you know, and I put it on his comment board, and they literally took down the video and they gave me a warning talking about cyberbullying. But I'm like, how the fuck is that cyberbullying when I just put a video on his page and I was like, check this out, you know? And I'm noticing that they're doing that on all these platforms. Like I was on TikTok and I just put in the word nigga, and then they basically gave me a warning. Like, well, if you say that again, we're going to shut your page down. But wait, what? Since when are we penalized for saying nigga? You know, it ain't like I mentioned a small head or anything like that, you know, which they usually trip about. But I put the word nigga. Even on platforms like IG and shit, you can write certain things and they'll take your comment down depending on who it is. You know, if it's anybody that they consider the truth speaker or anybody that's in the faith, they will literally block your comments and they will take it down or give you a strike. And what I'm realizing is that they have our algorithms traced. They have our algorithms linking our phones and database to our identity. So they have an understanding of who you are, even if you may set up your page or your YouTube page under a different identity. Because, I mean, who in the hell puts their first and last name on their YouTube page, right? At least the one they're teaching from. But there's somehow, some way they were able to trace the algorithms on who's saying what. And this is why Google bought YouTube back in 2014, 2015, because now it's one parent company. You see, so that right there was already a start of them censoring this truth. But it reads, it says the council, it says Rushmore Borough Council covering Farnborough and Aldershot has faced accusations for attempting to criminalize Christians for preaching, praying, and distributing Bibles in public spaces. But the council initially applied for the injunction in February, citing complaints about noise, public disruption, and distress caused by street preachers. And when you think about that, hey, you think about the Israelites, because when you go online and you type in Hebrew Israelites, it would say that they're a group of known for standing at the corners of major cities, shout obscenities at white people, and they call white people Faggots and devils, okay, which is an offense to Esau, to the elites, because ultimately they want to stop us from teaching. They don't want this word to go forth. But we got, you know, what they call the First Amendment, which they're doing away with. But it says here, it says, and laying hands on people in prayer, even with permissions, according to Telegraph. It says the injunction also sought to prohibit approaching individuals to discuss religion and preaching messages that could be perceived as hostile towards protected characteristics such as age, gender, or sexual orientation, which is a bunch of bullshit. Okay, because what gives these people more protection and rights than the average person? So this is why that they want to crack down on the truth, because ultimately, you know, we're calling out the wickedness of this world. But it says violations of injunction could result in fines, arrest, and a maximal prison sentence of 2 years. But hey, don't get it twisted. That prison sentence is going to come with a martyrdom, you know, for certain brothers, because it tells us in the scriptures that those that was beheaded for the testimony of Yahushua. All right. So you're going to have certain men that's going to die in this thing to be a martyr for a testimony of Yahushua. You know, it says, but after an intervention by the Christian Legal Center, which is the CLC, street preachers represented the legal group have managed to temporarily halt the attempts. But the council also postponed a court hearing that would have sealed the injunction's terms. But the council is now reportedly rewriting the injunction while seeking greater consolation with local Christians. And ultimately, it's not time yet, you know. But the reason why they're cracking down on this as well, because on the street, you can reach more people outside of being confined at some church behind four walls, you know. So anyway, you get a couple of precepts, because the famine of the word and great persecution is coming upon the believers of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. As the scriptures say, those that live godly in Yahweh shall suffer persecution. So we will be persecuted, brothers. Okay, we're going through it now. All right, but it's going to intensify as this man kingdom comes to a halt and a close. Shit is getting ready to turn up, man. So hey, you got to get your minds and your spirits prepared for the amount of slander and accusation they're getting ready to throw at the ministry. You know, counting the cost. You see? So this is the book of Acts 4, and I'm going to start at verses, matter of fact, let's start at verses 13. It says, now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled and took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahushua. So the elites know. Okay, they know who's who and what's what. You see, they know who's teaching 100% truth, and they know who's full of shit. But overall, they don't give a damn. If you're speaking any type of truth, they're going to roll on you. So why these guys in Israel are changing the doctrine to have a safety landing towards the end of this man's kingdom, it's not going to matter, because at the end of the day, the fact that you just know who you are is threat enough for Esau's New World Order. And just the fact of who you are by blood, whether you acknowledge yourself being an Israelite or not, they're going to roll on you too. Okay? And it says here, and beholding the man which was healed standing with them, they could say nothing against it. Okay? Because it's coming to a point That ain't nothing they can say against this truth. And this is why Yahweh Shai said, I will give you a mouth that even your adversaries will not be able to gainsay nor resist. Because the fact that the truth is coming out hardcore, non-stop, and we're debunking the lies and going into the historical artifacts and proving that the people who claim to be us is very far from the truth. They can't deny it. So the next best thing is to bring out slanderous accusations, man, and physically come after us with the sword. Because believe it or not, slander and lies is part of this man's smear campaign. That's a sword as well. That's a weapon. Because the world will buy into that narrative based on the amount of hatred they generate towards the ministry. You know? And it says here, but then when they had commanded them to go aside out of the council, they conferred among themselves, saying, what should we do to these men? So that was counsel that was being taken on the men of the Lord. And you better believe that they're having counsel now on how they're going to roll on the camps, man. Okay, they have a dossier on each and every last one of us. They know where we live, where we work, how we look, who we consult with, who we lay down with. They know our families. They know all this shit. They got the whole dossier on us. But you know what? At the end of the day, so be it. Because we're not hiding and we ain't got shit to hide. Because we're not doing nothing but teaching the word. You know? He's the one that got to worry because he's the one that's in the wrong. Okay? He's the one that violated the covenant and destroyed the earth and took the Lord's people and put them in captivity and beating the hell out of us to this day. He's the one that got to worry, not us. All right? And the people that follow him. Because the average person in this system, they're just going to die, man. You know? But it says here, saying, what should we do to these men? It says, for that indeed a notable miracle have been done by them is manifest to all them that dwell in Jerusalem, and we cannot deny it. So when the spiritual power comes in the earth, when healing and miraculous healings come back and brothers are doing things through the spirit, that's when people are going to wake up. And like in scripture say that day 3,000 souls were added to the church. Hey, we literally are going to be adding people to the ministry once these miracles come, because a lot of believers in the ancient world was convinced through miracles, man. You know, even though the teaching and the preaching did convince some, but Jake needs shit to see. They need something tangible, man. So if a brother brings somebody from the dead or raise the dead or call fire down from heaven or take off in a flight or a sprint, that's going to get the attention of the world, man. And people are going to want to come up to you. So pressure is getting ready to be on us, man. You know, hey, people coming up with their sick grandparents. Hey, can you heal us? Can you heal us? And what's the name of your guy? X, Y, and Z. Hey, we going to be behind enemy lines real soon. Okay, because we're entering another glory. But it says here, but it spread no further among the people. Let us straightly threaten them that they may speak henceforth to no man in his name, which is Yahweh Shai. And they called them and commanded them not to speak at all, nor teach in the name of Yahweh Shai. But Peter and John answered and said it to them, whether it be right in the sight of Yahweh to hearken unto you more than unto the Most High, judge ye. But it says, but before we cannot speak the things which we have seen and heard. So when they further threatened them, they let them go, finding nothing that they may punish them because of the people. But for all men glorify Yahweh for that which was done. You see what I'm saying? So the point is, hey, when they got locked up for teaching the word, hey, they didn't really have shit on us. Same thing today. But there will come a time that they will try to arrest brothers, you know, accusing us of all types of wickedness, man. You guys are terrorists. You guys are high treasonous. You guys are breaking the law. Okay, you guys are inciting riots. You're making people uncomfortable. All right, you're making transgenders feel some type of way. All shit that they have no technicality or no legal grounds to hem us up. They're going to try to hem us up on shit, man. Even if they have to use deep fakes or AI to conjure up some wickedness that we're doing or that they're accusing us of, this is what Esau is going to do because he's the devil, you know? So going back to the article, it reads, the council is now reporting rewriting of the injunction while seeking greater consolation with local Christians, which the Christians, they're not doing the work of the Heavenly Father. Okay, just because you go out to the street, that doesn't mean anything, okay? Because you're not proclaiming Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and you teach what they call replacement theology, man, when you're replacing the true biblical Israelites and the biblical narratives with the universal doctrine. And that's off according to the scriptures. And it says the CLC described the proposed measures as disproportionate and unlawful. But Andrea Williams, the organization's chief executive, vowed to challenge any legislation that attempt to silence or criminalize the Christian faith. And this is the reason why they can't really roll on us now, because they really have no grounds for it. So as they suspend shit and come up with these particular restrictions, this is when they're going to try to move into the ministry. But it says Rushmore Borough Council defends its actions by pointing to a high volume of complaints from the residential and local businesses about behavior. Now, this sounds very familiar. Okay, I mean, I don't know how many times we got harassed by business owners and we had to move the camp. Like we was downtown maybe about a month ago in a spot that we prophesied at, because we prophesied like at 2 spots downtown. And the second spot, which was in front of a restaurant, in front of a parking garage in a restaurant, they turned up the music on us, man, because obviously they must got some complaints, or the fact they didn't want to see us out there. And the fact that it's getting warm, you know, they may have customers that want to sit outside and eat. So they're turning up the music to drown us out. Okay. And that goes here until complaints about local business from the behavior of street preachers. And they're really talking about the Israelites, but they're not saying it. All right. But it says common grievances, including the use of PA systems, loud amplification, and messages that some found offensive or upsetting. And you better believe that's not talking about the Christian religion. That's definitely talking about the Israelites, but they're not going to put it in here because they got to do shit subtle. Okay. Matter of fact, let's go from here to the book of Daniel. Because this dude is a snurp. He's a serpent. He's subtly putting things into law, into legislation to come up against us, man. It's through craft. All right. This is the book of Daniel 8:25. Now this goes into Antiochus, right, during the time of the Greeks. But it says here, and through his policy, he shall also cause craft to prosper in his hand. So, you know, he's pushing certain legislation, but he's hiding under what his true intent is. You know, like now they got this policy that they're conjuring up. They're going to make it illegal to speak out against the small hats, man. So they're yelling this anti-S shit to control narratives, man, which is full of loaded statements. And it says, and by peace shall he destroy many, and he should stand up against the prince of princes, but he should be broken without remedy, or without hand, because it's going to come to no avail. All right. At the end of the day, Esau, you're not going to win. Okay. You're not going to overcome the ministry. You're not going to be able to stop all the men of the Lord, no matter what you do to some of us. At the end of the day, the Lord said that his word will go out until what he purposed. All right. And that the words of the Lord endure forever. So you fucked it the way it go. You can put a damper on us. You can try to snatch us up or lock us up or, you know, silence us. But you ain't going to be able to silence this truth. And that's what you're afraid of. But it says in one instance, a member of the public claimed that Christian preaching created a non-inclusive environment. Non-inclusive, meaning that it was closed off, you know, and that sounds familiar because our environment is non-inclusive because it's not to everybody. Okay, our message is to the Israelites and first and foremost the elect, because we don't even deal with majority of our people because the 2/3, it ain't for the 2/3, you know. But it says another complained that hearing religious messages have ruined their day. And this is the time, the most time in history that great apostasy, all right, the disbelief of a higher power is at an all-time high. Like if you do a survey on about how many people believe in God, it probably will be less than 50% because this world is full of anti-Hamashiachs, man. Okay, nobody really believes in the Bible no more. Okay, nobody goes to church, which church is a waste of time any fucking way. But nobody really believes in a higher power because you have this whole image of self. You know, me, I'm a God. You're your own idol. And that's in the scriptures when it said people should be lovers of themselves, traitors and high-minded, haughty. Okay, more of lovers of pleasure than more than lovers of the Most High. This is the world we're living in. And on top of that, this AI shit, which is giving people a extra sense of pride because now you go online, people are making AI action figures of themselves, man. Okay. They got they got the hood bitch, the bad bitch. Hell, you got Israelites with AI version generated action figures. You got an action figure of that nigga Nate, you know. And hey, he's proud enough and bold enough to actually sell that shit in the store, man. And you simple ass niggas in that congregation, you will buy that shit because Nate is a fucking god to you guys, man. But it says, however, preachers and their supporters argue that the council's proposed action unfairly target Christian evangelisms, which fuck them Christians, man. They ain't doing the work. But it says they contend that the preaching of the gospel, a practice deeply rooted in British history, is inherently challenging to non-believers and could sometimes provoke strong reactions, but this does not constitute a criminal offense. And we always say here, man, that we're not out there to incite riots, but hey, people will get offended. You know, and this is why we got to the conclusion that, look, we ain't got to argue with nobody. The world is just going to do itself. Okay, you ain't got to call nobody a bitch or a hoe or none of that other shit, you know, even though it do get rowdy sometimes, you know, when you get in the spirit and you know, motherfucker vex in the spirit and you cuss their ass out. I mean, you know, shit, hey, that's my spirit of you coming up against the ministry. I rebuke the shit out you, man, and don't give a shit. You know, but ultimately, you know, we could just teach the word and people will get offended anyway. Because this is the type of society we live in, man. You know, let's get another precept here. Isaiah, 29 and 31. I believe. No. 21 and, 21 and 29. No. Wait, is it? They make a man an offender for a word. That is. Damn. That's crazy. I always bring this precept out. Damn. That's crazy. I forgot it. That offender. Is it Isaiah 29:21? Yeah, Isaiah 29:21. There we go. And it reads here: "For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off." Because eventually, all you wicked evildoers will be cut off in that day. That make a man an offender for a word, man. Okay, because you make what we say an offense. Like, how the hell is we disagreeing or correcting something that the Jew said using, you know, the loaded statements and their deflection tactics as they so greatly use all the time? How the hell if we say, well, we're the Israelites, how the fuck is that anti-S when we're claiming to be these people, which is proving that we're these people? Oh, if you say, well, the such and such didn't take care, oh my God, you're anti-S. Now, if you come up, you ask me for $1 and I say, no, is that anti-S too, motherfucker? You gonna call the ADL on me because I ain't give your bomb ass $1.50, man, for a fucking, for whatever the hell you want it for? See, they'll do shit like that. They'll take it to court because you denied them $5 and you'll get hit with a fucking hate crime based on the bullshit that them niggas talk, man. And this is why the Most High is gonna fuck you crackers up, man. All right, especially you small hats, you Amalekites, you're the worst. Okay, your own people don't even like you. You're scum, man. And when you challenge their jurisdiction and you challenge their lies, then all of a sudden they want to label you a fucking terrorist when you the goddamn terrorist, man. Bunch of damn hypocrites. And it says they make a man an offender for a word and lay a snare for him that reproveth and negate and turn aside the just thing for a thing of naught. And they make what we do an offense, man. Okay, we go out to the streets. People honk their horn, they stick up middle finger. Sometimes they throw shit at brothers. You know, sometimes they come up and attack brothers, man. And they find out the hard way real quick. You know, antagonizing the spirit. Hey, it happens. All right? Well, last precept and I end it because, hey, they getting ready to roll. This thing is getting ready to shut down, man. And I was telling the brothers this weekend, I'm like, the ministry is shutting, it's toning down. You know, it's a time where out there is dwindling down. We used to be out there 3-4 hours. You know, now on average, when it gets warm, we out there about 2 hours. You know, usually about 2 hour camp, you know, get the point across and keep it pushing. Wintertime, we be out there about 1.5 hours, you know, just to balance and compensate for weather's sake. You know, and we do what we got to do and get the job done. But anyway, Revelation 2, and I'm going to start at verses 10. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. It says, behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, right? Some brothers are going to get locked up for this thing. It says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Okay, so yeah, this thing could come with a very well death sentence. And we tell brothers that all the time. So don't get surprised when things start to look, you know, kind of strange and, you know, your ass is being indicated in accusations, man. Don't get afraid. Just understand what you're part of, man. You're counting the costs. You see? Now, going here, but Peter and John answered him and said unto them, whether it be right in the sight of Yahweh to hearken unto you more than unto Yahweh judge ye. But it says, before we cannot speak the things which we have seen and heard. But so they had further threatened them. They let them go, finding nothing how they may punish them because of the people. For all men glorify Yahweh for that which was done. For the man was above 42 years old, on whom this miracle of healing was showed. So miracles, man, that offended the wicked leadership at that time. The high priests, the wicked scribes, the Pharisees, the chief priests, you know. And it says here, and being let go, they went to their own company and reported all that the chief priests and elders had said unto them. And when they heard that, they lifted up their voice to Yahweh with one accord and said, Lord, thou art Yahweh, which has made heaven and earth, and sea, and all that it says, sea, and all that in them is. Who by the mouth of thy servant David has said, why did the heathens rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Yeah. It says the kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord, against his anointed, before a truth against thy holy child Yahushai, whom thou hast anointed. Both Herod and Pontius Pilate with the Gentiles and the people of Israel were gathered together, for to do whatsoever thy hand and thy counsel determined before to be done. And now the Lord, behold, that threatens, and grant unto thy servants that with all boldness they may speak thy word. So we're bold with this thing, all right? And this is what we're commanded to do. And we ain't stopping. Okay, we're getting stronger and stronger through the spirit. As wild and tired brothers are, we're still waxing stronger in the spirit. Because ultimately there's a spirit that's compelling us to do this, man. And by stretching forth thy hand to heal, and that sign and wonders may be done in the name of Yahushai, in the name of thy holy child Yahushai. And when they had prayed, the place was shaken where they were assembled together, and they were all filled with the Holy Ghost, and they spake the word of Yahweh with boldness, man. All right. So anyway, I'm going to end it giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lord's will you were edified. Until the next lesson. Shalom.